We open with the terror attack in Jerusalem at 10:20 this morning. Two terrorist gunmen opened fire at a bus stop at the entrance to Jerusalem in the remote neighborhood on Yigal Yadin Street. 6 people were killed in the attack on bus passengers and nearby passengers and pedestrians. 10 others were wounded in the attack, with 5 listed in critical condition. The victims were named as Rabbi Yosef David, age 48, Israel Matzner, 28, Yaakov Pinto, 25, an immigrant from Spain, Sarah Mendelson, age 60, Rabbi Mordechai Steinzeg, aged 79, and Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Pash, 75 years old. All were Jerusalem residents. May their memories be a blessing. According to initial reports, one of the gunmen was neutralized by a soldier on the scene and a second by an armed civilian. Security forces and first responders were quickly on the scene to treat and evacuate the wounded. The terrorists were Palestinian residents of villages near the site of the attack, but on the other side of the security fence. And it's believed that they entered Israel illegally. Prime Minister Netanyahu was at the scene of the attack. Let's take a listen.
אנחנו עכשיו במרדף, בכיתור של הכפרים שמהם באו המרצחים, ואנחנו נשיג את כל מי שסייע באדם, כל מי ששילח אותם, ואנחנו ננקוט בצעדים קשים עוד יותר. אני רוצה לומר בצורה הכי ברורה, הרציחות הללו, הפיגועים הללו, בכל הגזרות, הם לא מרפים את ידינו. הם רק מגדילים את הנחישות שלנו, להשלים את המשימות שלקחנו על עצמנו. גם בעזה, גם ביהודה ושומרון, בכל מקום. אנחנו נלחמים בטרור, במשטר הטרור של החות'ים, באיראן שמגבה את כולם, בעזה, בלבנון, בחיזבאללה, בכל הגזרות. אנחנו לא מרפים וגם לא נרפה. אנחנו נעצים את הפעולות שלנו ואנחנו נשיג את כל המטרות שלנו.
And joining me now from Jerusalem is Fleur Hassan Nahum, the former deputy mayor of the Israeli capital. Fleur, thanks so much for joining us today. First, I'd like, if I could, I'd like to take a moment together with you to reflect on these victims. 2 rabbis, 2 young men, 2 women in their 50s. We've both viewed so many terror sites in Jerusalem over the years. Emotionally, where did this take you?
Well, it took me to the place of when I arrived in this country in 2001 of the Second Intifada, where we had the audacity to offer the then leader of the Palestinian people, Yasser Arafat, everything he said he wanted, and then instead of accepting a state or even negotiating for a better deal, he decided to open the Intifada on the streets of Jerusalem. And as you know, we were living in a moment where there were shootings, there were bus bombs, there were suicide bombers, there were cafe attacks all the time in Jerusalem. But I want to also remind everyone that the year before October 7th, we saw a huge increase in terrorist attacks in the city of Jerusalem, in our capital city, including 10, 12 people killed outside a synagogue in Pisgat Zev, if you remember that. Okay. And so, unfortunately, Jerusalem has always been the focus of these horrible, brutal attacks on civilians. They went to attack and to kill civilians. And unfortunately, as you know, we lull ourselves sometimes into a false sense of security. We're not that secure.
Well, Fleur, I recently moved back to Jerusalem after 25 years in Har Adar, actually next to the village, Keitana, where the gunmen came from. Let's face it, entry into Jerusalem is wide open. There are so many ways to come into the city around the security barriers. Can that ever change?
Well, we managed to change it after 2001 Intifada when we built a wall that we're so criticized for, but it was a really solid wall. And we did stop 90% of the attacks. Also, you have to remember, these people are trying all the time. And the Israeli security really manages to stop 95% of attacks. But just because they manage to stop 95% of attacks, it doesn't mean that they're trying all the time. And unfortunately, some slip through.
Fleur, I've noticed that in the west side of the city, it's filled with Jerusalem Arabs, not Israeli citizens necessarily. I include in those people my doctors, employees in most of the tourist stores, and literally thousands of Jerusalem Arabs wearing orange vests as city workers. They're my neighbors, and I feel safe. But Jerusalem is a very mixed city. How can one possibly know who might present a danger?
That's a great question, and I think we all feel so much less secure after October 7th, because remember that the terrorists, those barbarians that came into the villages around Gaza, were working. Many of them were working in those houses. Many of them, had friendships, or at least the Israelis thought that they were real friendships. Look, I have to say that as somebody who worked in the city of Jerusalem for 8 years, and even now, the attackers of this horrible attack are from Judea and Samaria, are from the West Bank. There is now a report that they were aided and abetted by an East Jerusalem residents. But let me tell you, for the most part, East Jerusalem residents just want to get on with their lives. They have embraced the help that the city has given them in terms of economic development. And after October 7th, many of them were like, no, this has nothing to do with us. But having said all that, there are radical elements in certain villages in East Jerusalem, and we have to constantly be vigilant of these groups. The city of Jerusalem does a lot of work also on social media to follow if there's any radicals in any groups, and to always have a finger on the pulse.
Fleur, I wanted to use your diplomatic expertise to ask you about the Trump plan, but we're going to have to wait for a few days and see how that pans out. But just give me a nod or a head or not. Do you think it's a serious development? Are we really heading toward a potential deal with Hamas? What do you think?
Well, I pray we are, because Hamas is desperate enough now that they're seeing that we're serious about going into Gaza City.
Thanks so much, Fleur.
Thank you.
Well, U.S. President Donald Trump says a Gaza deal is closer than ever, but also says that Hamas must accept his terms amid what he calls his last warning. More from ILTV's Mayan Hoffman.
U.S. President Donald Trump has once again declared that a deal to end the war in Gaza and bring home the remaining hostages is imminent. In a late-night Truth Social post, Trump said Israel has already accepted his terms and urged Hamas to do the same. He wrote, "Everyone wants the hostages home. Everyone wants this war to end. It's time for Hamas to accept as well. I have warned Hamas about the consequences of not accepting. This is my last warning. There will not be another one." This is not the first ultimatum. In March, Trump threatened Hamas with quote-unquote hell to pay, also describing it as a final warning. And just last week, he insisted the terror group immediately give back all 20 hostages. According to Israeli estimates, 48 hostages remain in Gaza. Roughly 20 are believed to still be alive. Trump's remarks come as reports emerge of a new American ceasefire proposal presented to Hamas. Channel 12 says the plan would see Hamas release all the hostages on the first day of any truce, in exchange for thousands of Palestinian prisoners jailed in Israel. Negotiations over a permanent end to the war would then take place during the ceasefire. A source close to the prime minister said that Netanyahu is taking the proposal very seriously. Hamas, however, responded that it is ready to immediately sit at the negotiating table, but only if the deal includes a full withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza and the creation of a new independent Palestinian committee to govern the Strip. Israel had dismissed such statements in the past as propaganda, warning that Hamas is making unrealistic demands.
I think we're going to have a deal on Gaza very soon. I meant to go back and see you on the plane, but some things came up having to do with Hamas, etc., and we're working on a solution that maybe could be very good. We're trying to get it ended, get the hostages back, get it ended. We got them all back, but 20, and as you know, we have 20, plus there are a lot of unfortunately dead bodies involved. Good things could happen.
Skeptics note Trump has made similar predictions before. Still, with Washington pushing a formal proposal and Hamas publicly responding, this moment may mark the closest yet to a breakthrough.
Before President Trump placed the new ceasefire hostage deal on the table, Prime Minister Netanyahu told the weekly cabinet meeting that ending the Gaza war quickly was the best way to combat the diplomatic price being paid by Israel. Netanyahu added, "We must finish the war and finish it with the victory on our conditions." More from ILTV's Devo Klein.
Commenting on the impending Gaza City invasion and takeover, Prime Minister Netanyahu said that Israel is intensifying the operation on the outskirts and inside of Gaza City.
אנחנו מחסלים תשתיות טרור, אנחנו מחסלים מגדלי טרור מופללים, ואנחנו הקמנו עוד מרחב הומניטרי לאפשר לאוכלוסייה האזרחית בעזה לצאת למקום מבטחים וגם לקבל שם את הסיוע ההומניטרי. בינתיים יצאו מעזה כ-100,000 איש. החמאס מנסה לעשות הכל כדי שלא יצאו, ויישארו שם כדי שיהוו עבורו מגן אנושי.
Netanyahu said our efforts in Gaza against the last strongholds in effect, the last important stronghold, Gaza City, are part of the effort to complete the crushing of the stronghold by the Iranian Axis. The Axis was intended to destroy the state of Israel, and by dismantling it and striking it, we are removing an existential threat to Israel, the primary threat.
אם אני צריך לבחור בין ניצחון על אויבינו לבין תעמולה רעה נגדנו, אני בוחר בניצחון על אויבינו, ומאשר ההפך. אני לא רוצה כתבות שאנחנו נובס על ידי אויבינו, ושנקבל כתבות ספד טובות בתקשורת העולמית. אני בוחר בניצחון.
This is the second week in a row where the weekly cabinet meeting was held in a secure underground location in Jerusalem. The office of one of the ministers tells the Times of Israel. Security has been greatly bolstered around senior officials, following the elimination of top Houthi leaders in Yemen late last month.
Well, it's day 703 of the war in Gaza. The IDF continues operating intensively in northern Gaza ahead of the planned IDF takeover of the city. In Gaza City's Zaytun neighborhood, the IDF demolished a large Hamas tunnel spanning hundreds of meters. The IDF said the tunnel was located during operations by the Nahal Brigade in the area. The tunnel featured a room that was used by Hamas forces in Zaytun to coordinate attacks. The IDF continues striking high-rise buildings used by Hamas for observation posts in the Gaza City area. The IDF repeated an evacuation warning for Palestinians residing in the vicinity of the building ahead of the airstrike. The IDF's Arabic language spokesman, Colonel Avichai Adri, warned that those near the Al Ruya building were warned to leave before the strike was conducted. The army said the IDF will strike any building where the presence of Hamas terror infrastructure is detected inside or nearby. Civilians were instructed to leave Gaza City for the Israeli-designated humanitarian zone in the Strip's Mawasi area in the south, where Israel is providing food and medical assistance for the arriving evacuees.
Jerusalem, 1913. There's an epidemic. Up to 90% of children had trachoma. Thousands went blind. Yet one woman had a vision. It started with 2 nurses from America. And today, it's 2 world-renowned medical centers, treating more than 1 million people a year, plus youth villages, saving hundreds of thousands since the Holocaust. This is the work of Hadassah, America's largest Jewish women's organization, and a life-changing force in Israel. We helped build Israel's health infrastructure, saved lives during every war and crisis. And now, Hadassah hospitals are pioneering personalized medicine with robotics, 3D printing, AI, and providing essential trauma care. For over 100 years, our vision has been clear: to help heal our world. This is Hadassah.
Well, the Houthis fired 3 more UAVs toward Eilat today, but all were shot down by air defense. The latest attack comes a day after Israel's Ramon airport near Eilat sustained damages after a Houthi UAV evaded air defense and crashed into the terminal without warning. The incident was a serious breach, and an investigation is underway. ILTV's Sivan Raviv has more.
Israel's air defense is known worldwide for shooting down threats, but this time a Houthi drone slipped through the defenses and hit Ramon Airport. The explosive-laden UAV from Yemen struck the terminal near Eilat, lightly injuring a man and sparking panic among passengers. Damage was reported to the baggage screening area, and flights were temporarily halted before resuming. The big question now, how did Israel's defense fail? A military probe reveals the drone was detected by radar, but air defense troops did not classify it as a threat. At the same time, Israeli forces were busy intercepting 3 other drones near the Egyptian border. Defense experts say the Houthis may have used a diversion strategy, sending multiple drones to confuse the system and create an opening. Analysts also note that Ramon, a smaller airport compared to Ben Gurion Airport, has fewer layers of protection, making it a softer target. Israel has been pounding the Houthis, and an airstrike last week on Sana'a killed most of their cabinet. Officials stressed that the attack underscores the ongoing long-range threat posed by the Houthis, even after recent setbacks and damages caused by Israel. The precise strike on Ramon Airport shows that the Houthis, an Iran-backed rebel force based in Yemen, remain undeterred. Yesterday's strike was one of their first direct hits on an Israeli airport, and it highlights a critical lesson. Even with the world's most advanced missile defense, adaptive enemies can find weakness. Israeli leaders say a full security review is underway, vowing to ensure the next drone will be stopped before it reaches its target.
And we're excited to feature Nate Buzz, an accomplished actor and human rights activist, as he shares his spiritual journey from the sets of Hollywood to the streets of Jerusalem. Catch him in episode 2 of our special new series with Israel Bonds, One-on-One with Lidar Gravalazi. Join us September 17th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Scan the QR code on your screen to RSVP. Register now to watch. For more than 2 centuries, Kollel Chabad has been providing food and care for Israel's most vulnerable. Today, it's the country's oldest, continuously operating charity. We joined Executive Director Zalman Duchman in Jerusalem to see firsthand how the organization is bringing dignity, joy, and warm meals to thousands every day.
In the heart of Jerusalem, volunteers and staff with Kollel Chabad deliver not just food, but comfort, dignity, and connection to Israel's elderly population.
Kollel Chabad is the oldest continuously operating charity in Israel, 238 years old. Today, we focus primarily on different ways that we help elderly people with food. Food is the most basic of human needs.
Each day, hot meals are delivered to thousands across the country. Here in Jerusalem, Kollel Chabad works to bring them directly to people's homes and apartments, with special touches as they ensure quality, cultural-sensitive meals.
The food that is served here partially is catered by us, that we prepare it here locally, or part of it comes from that we do in partnership with Leket, that the food comes from hotels, restaurants, caterers around Yerushalayim, around Israel. If you see, it's beautiful brisket, beautiful chicken, beautiful pasta. Our objective is to help every single person in the way they need help.
For some, a warm meal is also a lifeline to companionship. Like Yosef, who just turned 90 years old, originally from Moldova, he now lives in Jerusalem and eagerly welcomes the visits.
תודה רבה. כל יום יש אוכל.
Zalman and Yosef share more than a meal. From dancing to singing, Yosef even opened up his past with photographs and old memories of his time in Moldova. For Yosef, the visits also bring meaning and tradition. The 90-year-old is reminded of his Jewish values and traditions as staff helps him wrap tefillin while getting his meal served. Moments like these show that Kollel Chabad's mission goes beyond meals. It's about preserving dignity, Jewish identity, and human connection. For volunteers like Anat Friedman, the work is deeply personal.
My grandmothers and grandfather were Holocaust survivors, and I'm close to this population of elderly people. I know how much they need the smile, the attitude. For some people, it's the only time of the day that they open the door.
Kollel Chabad doesn't just fill stomachs, it builds community. At their soup kitchen at their main facility, elderly people and anyone that needs a meal will gather, share stories, and find friendship. Zalman joined a group of new and old immigrants from the United States to chat over a tasty lunch meal.
The soup kitchens provide another very important aspect, and that is the social aspect, where people get together, they meet identical people, they talk together, they have a friendship.
For many, this community is a lifeline. Anat says even small gestures can make a difference.
When you see a lot of elder people like this every day, it makes you think of life, think of your family, and how important are the connections. And it's so important if somebody has a grandfather, a grandmother, an old aunt, just call them. Call them, talk to them, see if they need a visit.
Kollel Chabad's mission, founded in 1788, remains the same: help anyone in need, regardless of background, with dignity and with respect.
The most basic of human need is food, more than just bread, but they have meat, they have chicken, they have a nice meal. It is our honor to serve them. It's our honor to serve them with dignity. And that is the most important thing for us.
For Yosef, Anat, and countless others, that care comes wrapped in meals, conversation, tradition, and community.
And in sports news, at this hour, Israel is facing off against the highly ranked Italian national team in tonight's qualifier match for the 2026 FIFA World Cup in soccer, the qualifying games which decide which countries will participate in the prestigious sporting event beginning in June of next year. When asked about the war in Gaza during a press conference, the Israeli national team coach responded calmly and defended his support for his nation. ILTV's Devil Klein has the story.
Israel's national soccer team is in Hungary for a big match against Italy. Team Israel will try and qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, or Mondial, after missing out and failing to qualify for nearly 50 years now. Team Israel beat Moldova 4-0 and now face the Italian national team. The Italians are currently favorites to win in the match, despite qualifying for the FIFA World Cup last in 2014. Fans and analysts are already predicting an Italian win. But Israeli die-hard soccer fans across the country are currently watching the match against Italy with renewed hopes, as promising Villarreal player Manol Salomon and Ajax player Oscar Gloch could bring a fight to the Italian team. During a press release, Israeli national team coach Ran Ben Shimon was bombarded with questions regarding Israel's war with Hamas in Gaza. When asked on the number of casualties in the war, Ben Shimon responded calmly with this.
I believe that we have a super moral and amazing country. I trust my people. We are trusting our army and soldiers. And I'm standing behind my country. I want to tell you just one thing about it. I never look at the people that speaking in front of me about the opinion they just said. I'm looking who is standing behind me. And this is our people. We are playing for them, to make them joyful, to make them a few moments of happy. And this is the only thing I have to say to you about it.
Go Team Israel. Well, let's take a look at the weather forecast. Partly cloudy skies are expected around most of the country tonight, with temperatures reaching lows of 22 degrees Celsius or 71 degrees Fahrenheit. And then tomorrow we'll see sunny skies alongside hot temperatures, seeing highs of 31 degrees Celsius or 87 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, that's a wrap for today's news. For the latest updates from Israel on all of your devices, be sure to follow our ILTV channels and our ILTV, our new news channel. And you can also catch us on Screen IL with 24/7 live coverage. Stay informed with the latest news straight from the heart of Israel. I'm Steve Liebowitz. Be well, and thanks so much for watching.